Please scan to check in if you haven't checked in. Just scan on full connect. And that will work. Oh, there's no sunlight today, so this is perfect.
Yes.
All right, we have a lot to cover today, so let's get started. My name is Lucy. I am your co-president. I'm a marketing major and integrated public relations and advertising major.
And my name is Ariadne. I'm an IPRA major also and a psychology minor.
All right, on the agenda today, we have committee speed dating and we have our alumni panel.
And then meet our exec board. If everyone on our exec team could raise their hands really quick. Hey, if you have any questions or curious about anything, you can reach them.
All right, so what is AMA? I see a lot of new faces today, so we're going to quickly go over. Our mission statement is that AMA enhances its members' professional development through practical marketing experience, philanthropy, and mutually beneficial relationships with business connections from within AMA, USF MUMA College of Business, and the community. We do this through GBMs with professional speakers, workshops, networking opportunities, conferences, etc. All right, and meet our committees. We're going to do speed dating, so you guys will get a lot of information. We have marketing, social impact, pro dev, case, fundraising, membership, DEI, and scramble. We also have a couple of committees that we're hiring for. And we are hiring for our consultable director, which is our student-run marketing agency, director of events, our consultable accounts director, and our assistant director of our regional conference.
And we're going to have a table during the speed dating. So if you have any questions, you can ask Lucy. She'll be there. She'll answer any questions about any of those positions we're hiring. And then get your membership. It's only $375 a month. It's $45 for the entire year. So if you buy it today, you don't have to pay it again until the next January 21st, 20th?
Yeah, 21st.
Yeah, so it's for a whole year. You guys buy boba, you guys buy everything on campus. It's so expensive. $375 a month is literally nothing. Get your membership. Yeah. And it's the only way you get points. So if you have been signing into GBMs and have not paid for your membership, you will not be getting any points. They aren't accumulating yet. So you have to pay for your membership if you want to get your points. And then what are points for? Miss Tabitha.
Oh, yeah, good question. What are points for? We have this really exciting event called the International Collegiate Conference that's coming up, and we get to go to New Orleans, which is super fun. And that's going to be April 3rd to April 5th. Another thing that you can use your points for is our end of semester banquet, which is April 29th. Put that in your calendars, 6 to 9 p.m. But go ahead and take a look at what our point values are and how you can accumulate them. Okay, so this is our point system. The biggest things that we're focusing on right now are in-class marketing for our e-board members, fundraising events, community events, PDMs, workshops, competition winning, all of that fun jazz. Buccaneers volunteering is over because they didn't keep going in the championships, but that's okay. So just if you've been here in the fall semester, you definitely have some already. In the spring semester, you can definitely start earning them and just like joining all of our committees. Yeah, and then here's a little bit more about ICC. What is it? It's in New Orleans. We get to learn, network, and compete, and there are going to be these amazing professional speakers, and there's going to be seminars about some niche marketing topics, which is very interesting. And we also get to learn about our chapter rankings and awards. We're actually number 4 in the nation, and we're in the top 1% of AMA chapters in the world, which is so awesome. And we get to make lifelong connections. And I know some people from like UC San Diego now because I met them at ICC, and it is just so fun. So we are opening signups today. There is going to be a $50 deposit that you will get back after ICC if you attend. If you don't attend, you don't get your money back. Sorry. So, but we also have a t-shirt design competition that is going to be for ICC, and that is going to be the shirt that we take to ICC, and everybody gets 2 shirts. You don't have to wear both of them at the same time. But what you get to do is wear one shirt on the first day, and then we're going to have a t-shirt swap, and you're going to be throwing t-shirts across the room to people from other chapters in AMA around the country. And we want to have a cool t-shirt to rep AMA USF. So register now. There's a lot of questions and information that you need to fill out. There's information about funding in there. There's information about points, about tiers. We will explain that next week, but the last day to register will be February 4th. That is also the last day to submit your deposit. If you don't submit it by then, you won't be registered. So just like get that done. We hope to see all of you there. It's going to be so fun.
Also, we are a third-time winner of the t-shirt competition. So if you design the t-shirt, then you can say, oh my gosh, my design won the award for the fourth time in a row. And yeah, and we get a little trophy, a little award. It's really cool. You can take a picture with it. Yeah, sick.
All right, so we have a couple of announcements and upcoming events.
We have Scramble.
So Scramble is our 21st annual golf tournament. So we go down to South Tampa and we go to the golf course on MacDill Air Force Base, and we have a huge golf tournament with a lot of different golfers that come in, and you guys can get involved. This is a great way to go to ICC. So let's look about how you can get involved. This is next Friday, so you have a couple of chances to get involved. You get $10 in your ICC account every committee meeting you go to. You can bring silent auction items, raffle items, gift bag items, sponsorships, foursomes, and you can do day of volunteering. This will all get you money and points in your ICC account and help you get to New Orleans. And if you find someone, our title sponsor, you can get a fully funded ICC trip. So our title sponsor last year was around $10,000. So if you know anyone who wants to give $10,000, then you don't have to worry about New Orleans. You don't have to show up to AMA ever again. You could just get that sponsor and then go to New Orleans.
And to keep in mind, the trip to New Orleans is around, with registration and hotel and everything, it's like $850, $900 total. So you can get money straight into your ICC fund by getting involved with Scramble. It's super important, and we prioritize people points wise and everything wise if you are involved in Scramble when it comes to sending you to New Orleans.
Yeah, so if you want to volunteer, scan this QR code, and if you want to golf in it, I don't know if you guys know any golf. If you guys know any golfers, they probably know 3 more. So if you want to scan that QR code to become a golfer, go ahead and scan that.
And if you want to volunteer, you have to sign up today because you need to fill out the base access form. It's like an airbase thing, so we have to ask for permission to get on it and everything. It's a whole process, so you need to fill it out today, and you need to fill out the base access form today. It's just a picture of your IDs, that kind of stuff. So yeah, volunteers. So there's 2 shifts. One's in the morning shift, one's in the afternoon shift. You'll get all the information if you scan it. Scan it, you'll get all that information in the form, but you will get $100 to your ICC fund if you do both shifts, and then if you only do one, it's $50. So really fun. I was mixing drinks last time. It was a ball.
Hey, I'm Alex. I'm the co-host of the AMA Off the Clock podcast, and every week we talk about things that are topical in the world of marketing, sometimes with very special guests. On this week's episode, we talked about the potential TikTok ban. Thank God that didn't go through. But next week, we're going to be talking about new stuff. We upload episodes on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts every Monday at noon. They're going to stay up on our YouTube page, stay up on our Spotify page. So if you want to watch a very, very awesome podcast where we talk about very cool things, scan either of those QR codes and check us out. Look up AMA Off the Clock, scan either of those QR codes to check out our stuff. Listen to us, please.
I have an episode out. If you think I'm really funny, you should watch it.
Episode filming this week.
Her episode is coming out next week. It's pretty funny.
Hi everyone. So we have our first volunteering opportunity. We're going to be volunteering with the Humane Society. So who here knows what the Humane Society does?
It's like an animal shelter that take in strays.
Exactly. So they take like animals that don't have a home yet. So we're going to be volunteering with them on February 7th from 2:30 to 4:30. That's a Friday from 2:30 to 4:30. So you're just going to basically be walking the dogs, taking care of the animals, spending time with them. Because one thing that's really sad in the shelters, they don't have anyone to play with them or to spend time with them. So that's our first volunteering opportunity. Is going to be in their main shelter here in Tampa Bay. So if you're interested, please scan the QR code. That's just going to give me your number and like your information so I can contact you.
Reminder, if you get involved in volunteer events or anything you get involved in with AMA, you are getting points if you are a paid member.
Yes, you get 100 points per hour.
Get involved.
Hello. Our boba fundraiser got moved up a day to this Thursday, January 23rd. I should see everyone there. It's all day. So just buy a boba or some food. It's really good there and it's quite cheap. And bring your friends and just mention AMA and the proceeds go to us, or like a portion of the proceeds. I should see you all there.
All the board's gonna go. Better. You guys can bond with us and talk to us and ask questions. Let's go to some tea.
All right, hey guys, I'm Justine. I'm the case director. If you were here last week, I touched on a bit of what CASE does, which is the competition. I want to let you guys know this Thursday is our first meeting, which will be the kickoff call. So if you plan on being involved with CASE and you want to know all about the competition, you got to come to this Thursday's meeting. We're going to be talking with our program director. She's going to be talking about the competition, and that will give me an idea of what students I need to put on the roster. It's important if you're on the roster because if we do place and get the chance to go to Washington, D.C., only the people on the roster will be able to go. So obviously you're going to hear me talk about CASE a bit more around the speed dating table, but scan that QR code if you want to join the Slack meeting for some more information about CASE.
And then upcoming events. So we have January 23rd, Boba Social, January 31st, Scramble, February 7th, Humane Society volunteering. Mark your calendars. This is our Google Calendar. If you scan it, you can see all our events, all our meetings happening there, so you can get organized. It's an easy way to just see everything all at once. And then stay updated. We have Instagram, we have website, we have LinkedIn, podcast, and we still have TikTok. So please scan it, see all our videos. We have really funny TikToks. And join our Slack. That's how we communicate. That's how we say everything. All our event information, committee information, reminders, all of that will be on Slack. So please get on Slack. If you don't know how to get on Slack, reach out to anyone in a polo or any of the people who are going to be in the committee speed dating, and they will help you out with that. It's super easy. But you do need Slack. Must have. And then up next, we have committee speed dating. So
Yes, so you guys will just be able to sit here. We'll have our e-board go around to each table. We'll have 2 minutes where we have to yap really fast about our committees and tell you guys about it. So on the side, if you guys are not sitting at a table, try to find a seat so you guys can get all that information. And yeah, so 2 minutes, our e-board's gonna go around, yap at you guys real quick, ask any questions. This QR code will be up here the whole time. So if any committee piques your interest, make sure you're scanning that. So make sure, go ahead and grab a seat. Yeah, anything that there's-
How are you guys?
Good.
What are your names? Gabriella. Gabriella. Thank you. Fundraising.
okay, we're about to get started. 3, already sat, sit down. 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so
So this year.
I really love about the finance committee. I feel like it's interesting. It was such a like that is really creative. That's what you find to community members. We're trying to get all of you at once. Finding different fundraise and love everyone. It's not just like that is money. It's money. You want the money to go to IC.
Oh, man, that's crazy.
I know fundraising isn't our events.
Get out of it. Your audience will be heard.
It's already on the.
Creating a website, whether that's doing a social media campaign, like different teachers,
Like the quickly
on campus.
and then I would like to like a Adobe Illustrator. Throughout the entire way. Your students here at today, and like most of the
It's not even to graduate school, you're like, oh, I'm not. Campus, like,
like our Slack channel, even if you join, just click great way to.
Okay, guys, time up.
Just got this.
Hi, guys.
Okay.
Yes, that's it.
Wasn't mine. I'm sure. Go to the next number. I gotta tell them how the knows how to going this way. Oh, who goes?
Like a wire.
2, 3, 5, 6, whatever. Who stays? Move or we stay is what I learned. They shouldn't be moving. They should be moving. Oh, guys.
Okay. Hell yeah. I see you all the
The
time.
board is moving, not
All
the
the time
member.
at market.
Nice.
So you're already doing easier things. Fundraising. What did you do? What did you tell you?
Just out.
Ray. 2, 1, start.
I was already going.
So what's up? Like, as I was saying, how many questions?
Money is the one of them.
I was like, I was talking to him last week about it already. But it's like, you know, you don't shoot enough emails out. You know, like, you don't even.
In the libraries, starting to send like kids.
Like,
This one, just operating, anybody in back target. Hey guys, like, choose a group. How many?
last month. That's crazy. No, I'm good.
Like,
I think I'm scrambled out.
you said it.
We have a lot of our people.
It's rain all day.
Like,
It's raining right now, bro. Okay, like, I made the rest of today. You literally saw it earlier today, like, outside it was earlier this morning. I got up at like 12, so I don't even know. So, I didn't have to deal with that.
God, it was like 3
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, not really used to it. It is very cool today. Very cool.
No way.
I know. Actually, like, group. Yay, time's up. Give us money. Time is up.
I'm gonna take my.
Or like information. And any donations?
We are the marketing committee and we joined
Marketing part.
I send out emails. I make schemes like. All right.
Three, 2, 1, start. Oh, right? I've like written vlogs.
Yeah, it looks really good.
So I'm here to tell you.
I'm the case. And yeah,
you guys are really good at graphing.
me internationally.
So yeah, you're really good. She's like,
For account team as well. We have to.
are the big workshop.
Let's just sit down. Now I'm gonna say like.
The director of the festival is pending.
I know, like, sure, it's this.
Put those up on the website now.
You walk through it. See last semester, I loved it. It's for 10 years. So we're talking, oh yeah. Agents will run.
Learn how to like manage a website.
You know, well,
As a fun.
And you have to like really need a website up.
Easy.
Not just easy, but it's actually money.
Like donation.
last year. I want to post it like half.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to interrupt, like, you know. You guys are all probably thinking the money, like, things at the table and stuff like that. Have for you.
We got till 2 minutes.
We should go talk. It's supposed to have like a nice time as well. Either us.
They kind of have to do better and like.
That experience.
It's so nice to meet you guys.
Hope you guys stay.
That's right. Alex, do you have marketing council president? At the
Application night. Me and her were first.
walk right after you. I don't know how. Like there's. Our membership. I don't know about.
I like, see the common number is, it's just the seating issue. There's like a sign that says CLC.
The objective of our committee. No, it's gonna be. This we're starting ourselves at 6:30 in the evening.
Yeah, if it's not open today, because it wasn't open last week, we're gonna be on the floor. It's a really fun time. There you go.
Ronald. It's like our kickoff event.
We're this.
February
6th. First meeting.
Social media, I do podcasts. Yeah, we're just driving into that.
It's basically a fun.
So, yeah, we're gonna tell you now, we're part of the marketing committee.
Either you plus one.
Have people with like a, you may have. What's something tangible later more.
I make the email.
Sometimes we have like something like last semester we did a to-do list of everything.
Meeting a month,
Working with your notes up.
which is just right after.
We have a little.
And downstairs. But they always know that.
Easy to remember. Tuesday, right after school. Definitely go down.
Just go downstairs, we'll be there. We have a after this. Our director isn't here today, it's just us.
I'm trying to rest.
Hopefully it's the collaboratory, but we don't know. So it's not open.
All about leadership is
You guys want to AMA like think about
I don't mind
until you semester. I'm a pro. Like last semester I the membership would choose all the right. Remember that's how I got my way. Find yourself.
Thumbs up, switch.
Find
You guys are gonna be that's not marketing.
We also have like a podcast about what you're doing.
Yeah, they're the other, they do that Instagram social media analytics. I got stupid.
Yeah, so just join.
Okay. Hey, all of you guys. Luciana,
Cheers to all you.
No, like
all of them, like second grade. All these. Okay, okay. Yeah, my name is Kaylee. I'm the director.
Send out the emails and the newsletter, and I publish them.
I love it. It's like all of those. It's targeted numbers. You're targeting all of them. Like I don't want just like the anime numbers.
Sometimes.
It's time someone's asking.
We've been only asking that, like, EJ started it, and I just. Okay, I think
Every single.
Yeah, we just like, yeah, we just signed up for the
Money is money, you know, they're funding. We're going to be meeting with the all part of that. Also, plans to dedicate like the it's formative and
website.
that's a little fun.
then what we're starting, even if it's going to put the company on weekend, like sponsorships and partners by designing these graphics.
75 in Miami right now.
If you guys haven't, graphic design, use of canvas and use of science. We're on.
It was fun to see. It's every so often talk about this one.
One day, like, one class, they go out. Thank you.
This is our last round. If you do not consider a missing attachment, you're interested in the committee volunteer. Reach out to us after the meeting.
Yeah, if you want to like see it. So, nice to meet you guys.
Marketing committee. I thought about part of home group.
Davian.
My name's Alex.
I'm sorry.
Cheers. Okay. Meetings are from 6 to 7.
Podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, at 6:30. If it's on like a
I signed up for email marketing and also
helps write emails or something like that. Danny is Lynn.
We're also the more money, second half.
But if you don't want just say.
I was there.
I'm like an emergency. Either not back or through the Wednesday.
Like that is
Like topics community too. Good job with the bridge.
I'm sorry, dude. Any guests?
We all remember now. Yeah,
Last semester.
St. Pete was.
Like, I'm like, out.
every Monday to
Yeah.
just get my best that you guys can.
Really? Time's up.
Yeah.
It's like, you know. If you want more information on committees, or if you're interested in a certain committee, please sign up. The committee interest form. Or come talk to us at the end.
I actually.
No, actually, I mean, I'm in.
So we have flyers, take pictures of the flyers. He fully watched me, like, you, and then just like that down.
So.
Whole thing happened. Like, he was like
Are we done?
studying on that, we're not. Do I tell her this is, that's a correct angle?
I don't know where I was sitting.
I don't know why, but it's maybe until now.
No table.
Membership meeting. Dumb lady. She's white lady, not disturbed.
All right, so scan that committee interest form if you're interested in any committees, and then up next, drum roll, please. We have our alumni panel. Yay!
Oh my gosh, so we're so excited to have these two alumni. Okay, we're so excited to have these two alumni be here today. And before we start, I just want them to have a chance to introduce themselves and to tell you a little bit about what they've done what they've done for AMA in the past and where they are now.
Yeah. So some of you probably have met me because I'm typically pretty decently still involved with AMA. My name is Sonia. I joined AMA in 2016. And that was a little while ago. So I've held almost every position from president to secretary. The only thing I'd never gotten to was kind of more the digital side. But other than that, I've held basically every position in AMA. Currently, I am the community outreach coordinator for a local nonprofit called Early Learning Coalition. And so that entails me doing a lot of kind of talking to different politicians, advocacy, being out in the community, connecting with families. And it's a little bit different of style of marketing than you would think of being marketing, but it is in fact marketing. I am within the marketing department. And so, yeah, that's a little bit what I do.
I graduated back in 2018, and similar to Sonia, like when I was here, I kind of held various roles on the e-board. I can't remember those titles for the life of me, but what I do now is I work in digital marketing. I work primarily on the agency side, focused in analytics and paid search. And I held like various roles from manager all the way up into director. So yeah, that's pretty much about me.
We'll have a semi-short period for questions at the end, but we're just going to kind of get their backstory and then get a quick overview of how AMA has helped them in their careers, how it's impacted them, and then any advice that they have. So our next part of the panel is, how has AMA impacted your career direction? Like, during college, was there any event that really piqued your interest in a certain part of the marketing world? Or was there something that like gave you a lot of connections and you were like, oh, that was a really formative event?
Okay, so when I joined, I didn't really realize you had to pick a major, to be honest. I thought, let me just start with business and I'll figure out as I go. But I was sitting in one of those rooms when you do the, orientation for USF, and they're like, just pick a major in business, and if you don't like it, you can change it. And I went through the list, and I did marketing, competitions when I was in high school, and I was like, you know what? I know I wanted to do marketing, and I was most interested in that, and I selected it. But knowing how college works, you don't really get into those fundamental courses until later. So I joined AMA to get a better understanding of what marketing was or is. And it definitely did impact a lot of my, journey through college. So I thought, I always wanted to do that digital side. And so AMA kind of showed me that digital side and helped me get my very first internship, in which I discovered I don't like digital. Not my thing, not my cup of tea. It's cup of tea more, not my cup of tea. And then I think AMA really helped me discover what I want to do with marketing. I think it's so funny when you see jobs have like one marketing specialist, because you're like, that doesn't make sense. Marketing is anything from SEO to paid advertisement to social to analytics. And I kept going with it. I did do Scramble, and I loved event planning. So I kept that in the back of my mind, that I loved doing event planning, and I did social impact, and I liked the concept of being able to help the community. And through AMA, this was the first job I had to apply for. I think I mentioned this to some of you previously, but because of AMA, I never had to apply for a job. Every job, like, people message me on LinkedIn and say, hey, I saw that you do this or that. AMA opened doors for me. And up until this very last position, I think I had 3 jobs that were just straight up offered to me, from internships to jobs. But now my current role is, ironically, events. So I do a lot of event planning with my current role, as well as I do some data analytics with marketing. So kind of helped me discover that.
Repeat the question one more time.
Yeah, so were there any events that were affiliated with AMA that kind of gave you some more career direction, or was there just anything about AMA that really helped you realize where you wanted to be today?
Yeah, I would say like AMA probably like especially in the beginning when I was like interviewing for jobs, that kind of backfilled the gap that I needed to that I lacked in experience. So I was able to talk about like the work I did during AMA, which kind of impressed people when at the interview process, where they're like, okay, cool, you don't have the experience, but you're really passionate about marketing, because obviously you did AMA, which I was able to kind of just talk people's ears off about that. And that kind of really helped me get my foot in the door. So I would say in the beginning of my career, that was probably the most helpful, especially when you don't have the experience, when you only have internships. They need something more tangible. So they're just kind of going off how much grit you have. So I would say AMA helped me a lot with that, because I was able to speak to, I did this role. So yeah, I would say in the beginning of my career, especially probably all you guys probably want a job. So you definitely throw that into your interview when you're talking to them.
Not blindly going after internships with no idea what type of internship you want to do. Don't stay in the same committee, like hop around, If you don't like what you're doing in a committee, you can be vocal about it. Don't just, stick through everything. Find what you like, because then you can follow through with that with an internship that hopefully can set you up for a career.
I know you guys have talked a little bit about your careers and how like AMA has opened doors. And so you are where you are now. And so can you give us like a quick overview of what a day in the life looks like?
Oh, I wish I had a day in the life, because every day is very different for me. Some days I am in meetings all day. By the way, that ends up happening. It doesn't matter what role you end up, there's always days where you're in meetings. But other days I throw these events called Day of Play. They're large scale community events where we attract about 500 folks in the community, and we bring together all of these families to connect with local community resources and throw a day of play, which is hopefully encouraging parents to understand the importance of play. And so that day would start at 4 a.m. and wrap up at 6 p.m. So every day can be vastly different. Other days, I'm, presenting to different community partners and trying to help them understand why what I do is important and why helping the community is important. But I kind of prefer it that way. I don't know. There's some people who wake up and they're like, I want the same thing every day. And then there's the people who are me, and I don't. I prefer it that every day is vastly different of a day.
Yeah, I would say like my day now looks pretty similar. I just do a lot of meetings, whether it's internal or external. So either I'm talking to some C executive suite, or I'm talking to my own internal team. We're just kind of brainstorming. I think like I get probably 5 to 10% of actual work in between the meetings where I'm actually doing like I'm looking at someone's analytics or I'm looking at a campaign. But most of the time, that's pretty much it. I feel like I'm always putting out a fire. That's just normal on the agency side. Some client's gonna think the world's ending, and they're gonna have a bajillion questions, or you're pitching a new client whatsoever. So between meetings, writing a proposal, or doing a report, and then actually doing some work, that's pretty much my day. But it's never going to be the same thing. You get more stability on the corporate side. If you're on the agency side, it's going to always change.
Like both of you have very dynamic jobs. So with all of this experience under your belt, looking back at your college years, do you have any advice for college students that, or even for your younger self that it's like maybe you wish you would have known being where you are now?
I'm going to give one set of advice for me and one set of advice from everybody that is my age that like I'm still friends with. So for me, I would say like, it's always cheesy and people are like, wow, college was so great. And, all the great memories, but it's really like, it's pretty true. You become very, very fond of those memories. We're sitting back there just talking about, different things, and reminiscing. And so enjoying it is the biggest advice. Like we can get very caught up in assignments or internships or jobs that you don't take a second to just enjoy, but also to make sure that you're spending the time like finding things you enjoy. For us, we really did have fun in AMA. It was our tiny little family. It was tiny, by the way. It wasn't very big. She was like, we have 30 something people in our e-board. And I'm like, we had 30 something people on a good day at a meeting. Like vastly different. But we had fun with it, right? And so finding the joy and the things that, yeah, it might be work, it might be school, it might be projects, but making sure you enjoy those moments because they quite literally are only there for a little bit of time. But from everyone who is my age that is in college, was in college around the same time, a lot of people regretted not starting earlier, not discovering earlier, waiting to the last minute to figure out what do I want to do, what do I enjoy. Don't be those people because it's hard when you don't know exactly where you're going or what you enjoy and you're a senior and you're still figuring it out. It can be harder to get those internships or those jobs or even be confident on where to start. If I didn't, start early and start messing around and finding out, wow, I hate digital design. What if I waited to my senior year to do that? And then my first internship was digital design and it wasn't feeding Tampa Bay. I'm working in nonprofit. Imagine how vastly different my career would have ended up. So, don't procrastinate on those things. Start messing around and figuring out what do you like earlier versus later.
If I could tell my younger self something, I would say the grass isn't always green on the other side. Work-life balance is really important, and don't chase the money all the time. I would say it's easy once you get working, like to get so sucked in because like you got the golden handcuffs on you and you're making bazooka bucks, but your life is completely miserable or you don't like where you work with. I wish I would have vetted that a little bit more.
Oh yeah.
There's probably jobs I probably should have took, but I didn't because I was like, oh, this is a huge contract. Like I'm gonna make how much? I probably would have like told my younger self, like, nah, dude, it's just not worth it. Like I am like in a great position I am now, and I'm making a little bit less money, but like the work, like the remote life all that stuff just suits my life so much better. Like I don't have to have like my ass to a seat all the time. And like the agency I'm working with is pretty cool and I really like everybody. That makes such a huge impact. And you don't really think that's something like school never really teaches you, like, oh, like, you know, you gotta get into this and this and this, but then like it's not that great. Like you're just like, this kind of sucks. And you're like, I hate it here. And you're working till like 2 a.m. on a report. And you're like, why the fuck am I working?
Why? What am I doing this for?
Like, why am I still up here? But then it just happens day in, day out. And then you realize like, I'm done. And then you might have a mental breakdown or something, which has happened to me where I'm like, I can't do this anymore. So I would definitely say like, I'll tell my younger self, just be more mindful, do your due diligence. And when you're looking at jobs, like look at the culture, the team, the benefits, all that. And like really interview them because they are interviewing you, but you're interviewing them to be like, do I like it here? At the end of the day, that's probably what I would have told myself.
Last door. Yeah, to add on, culture is so important. Don't trust the culture you find on the website and their little like our culture. Like, no, really look into Glassdoor. Find people on LinkedIn, add them, ask them. People love when they receive a message and they're like, somebody's actually interested in what I'm doing. Don't be shy. Don't be afraid. Be bold. Because if you work is 40 hours a week minimum of your life, you know, if you're doing that and you're miserable, like that is 40 hours you're never going to get back, you know, and money not being everything I also 100% agree. I'm in nonprofit world and I am completely and utterly in love with my job. But I was in corporate world and I was a marketing data analyst. And man, I did not completely and utterly love my job. I did not love being behind a computer. So, you know, be bold and don't be afraid to take a stand when you don't enjoy something and, you know, you discover that.
Yeah, if any place says we're a family,
Oh, run,
that's a
run,
huge red flag.
run, red flag,
Like,
red
it's
flag.
real sketchy if they say that. Like I've been in interviews where like it's like a family culture here. I'm like, oh, I really wish you didn't say that.
No,
And
if
I'm
they
like,
say open communication, different.
yeah, you'll learn the corporate lingo, which is half the work in these interviews. Once you learn that, you learn to like stay away from certain things. You're like that. It's yeah. If I hear certain things, I'm just like, if I hear a client say certain things, I'm like, what are you talking about?
Family is like always a red flag because
Yeah.
that usually means, hey, by the way, we're going to depend on you to be awake at 2 a.m.
Yeah, you don't want to be that.
You don't want to be in a family. You want your job to be your job and your family to be your family.
Yeah.
That's a very good point. Words of wisdom. I think you might have covered it, but maybe you have something else to share in terms of like, was there anything unexpected when you first entered the corporate world, or just where you are now? Is there anything that you didn't expect coming out of college?
I think for me, like I fully understood what marketing was only after I kind of joined my organization. Our marketing team does a lot. And you know, I would never have considered what I do to be marketing, but they really opened my eyes that marketing is it's not as complicated as we make it seem. It's doing something to help one organization, one company connect to a person or to another organization, right? It's bringing awareness and connection. That's all it is. Whether that's through a Facebook ad or making sure somebody sees your website, it's connecting, you know, different individuals together. And so, you know, sometimes we get so, especially, you know, when I was doing marketing, doing all the things that you think are only marketing, things that are in your textbook as marketing, but sometimes that doesn't reach every single person. Some of the families I serve speak no English. They speak primarily Spanish. Some of them don't know how to use their phone. Some of them didn't know they had email on their phone till their child showed them that I set up an email account for you a long time ago. You know, and some of them don't have transportation. Some of them don't have laptops. Some of them are not driving around looking at billboards. Some of them are not serving websites. So, you know, sometimes you have to think outside of the box when it comes to marketing. because marketing is not simply just only what we're taught, right? It's how do you connect a company, an organization to the individual? And sometimes it's not the normal techniques that we think of. Sometimes for me, it's literally going into, I've connected with field workers, right? And connected with organizations that work with field workers and Mama, because that was the only way to reach them. And so, don't just stick to the A, B, C, D that you're being taught. Sometimes you have to take a step back and be like, wait a minute, what about the letter Z?
Yeah, I would say going into the workspace, that I wish that was pretty shocking was turnover is really huge, especially in this business in general. You're just a number in the cog. Don't take it personal. Like I've had to let people go, and it was strictly structural stuff. And I've been on the other side where because of COVID, someone had to let me go. So I would say like turnover is huge. Just know whatever job you're at, you're going to it's not going to probably be forever. Like max is probably most people nowadays. I feel like most of my coworkers are like 2 years, and then you're going to jump. And especially now with how raises work, like I have been able to jump off every time I jump. I've been able to get like a higher pay grade versus for asking for a promotion. That never really comes. And even then it's so minuscule, like the margins are so small. So I would say that was probably something pretty shocking getting into the workspace. It's like when I first got like let go, I was just like, man, this really sucks. I thought I was gonna be here. So I think the advice out of that is like, don't overextend yourself too much. Do your work. It is a job. You're there to get paid. But while you're there, learn as much as you can. So when you do make that next jump, you can demand a higher pay raise.
Don't stop learning. That's a big thing. You think college is you're done, you're done learning. No, I actually just finished my project management certificate at the innovation school. Well, something within business here. Some long title, but I just got my project management certification here. Because if you fall off the tracks and you just kind of get comfortable in your job and then suddenly they go, hey, you're getting let go and you haven't gained any new skills, gained any new certifications, anything new that you can, speak for yourself, it gets really hard in that next interview and it gets harder and harder. So don't let your guard down, keep learning.
Yeah, I would say save your work. Yeah, to kind of piggyback right off that, save your work so you always have like the work you do kind of build your portfolio up because that really helps you. Like
your private computer, not just your work computer.
I would, and then like just say I did a lot of my learnings on the job, and like when you're doing the work, actually like it's different when you're out of school because like in school I was kind of like whatever, but then like at work, like really focus on what you're doing. You'll know when you're in that seat. Like I should really remember this because when you do these interviews, they're gonna ask you like what you did, and you one better know how to talk their language. Two, speak to what you did do, and like it's all about like metrics and like goals for all these agencies and companies. Like how much money did you make for that? If you ran a campaign, what were the key metrics on there? How did you get to A, B, and C? And it's like that for everywhere. Like, so I would say just be mindful of that stuff too. Like make sure you hoard your work and
keep your data and your numbers. So that way, like I update my resume all the time with new data, new things I've done, new outcomes. You could lose that if they go, hey, by the way, we're letting you go. We shut off your access to your laptop and you have to return your laptop. You're like, what, wait, what do I put all how do I say I did anything the last 2 years, It's
work is great. Let me actually say this first. I realize how deep it is. I love what I fucking do. Like I think it's great. But like there is like it's not all sunshine and daisies. And I think some of your professors probably said that. Even mine's were trying to educate me before I got into it. And once you get into it, like there's a lot of gray and there's a lot of things that you're kind of like, ugh. But there are a lot of great things. Like I like not being broke. And like I have way more money than my college self ever had. So that's really great.
You're telling me you don't just eat happy hour?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But it's there's a lot of cool things once you get into your space, no matter what industry you're at. Like there's perks to it. Like I'm passionate about marketing and digital, and I
Once you,
met like a lot of great people.
once you
that.
find what you're passionate about, it gets a lot easier.
Yeah, as cliche as that sounds.
As cliche as it sounds, you wake up and you're like, let's go to work, you know? I mean, not always. Sometimes it's the day after Martin Luther King Day, and you're like, it's Tuesday? I swore it was Monday all day long. But most of the times you wake up and you're kind of excited. And if you wake up and you find yourself not excited, check yourself. Check yourself before you wreck yourself, because then you're gonna burn out. But make sure that you end up in something you're passionate about, something you would love, but that you also protect yourself at the same time. Do the balance. Don't just give yourself to your job fully, put a balance between loving your job, but also making sure that you love yourself. Protect yourself.
And then one more question before we move on to the general, before we open questions up to you guys. Do you have anything that you would recommend our members hop into at AMA USF? Shameless plug.
So you're asking like what I would recommend for all you guys to get into?
More like experiences that they shouldn't miss out on. Maybe ICC or Script.
Oh yeah. Yeah, do all the events you can, guys. Like for sure. Like especially if you don't have that many internships, like you're hoping this hiring manager, like you got to talk to something. And like I said in the beginning, I didn't have I had a few internships, but really they know you don't have experience, so you're gonna be a personality hire. So they're really trying to see like how passionate are you in your space. And talking about AMA, I was like I did this, and I thought it was really cool, and I'm really interested in learning. If you just give me a break and I can show you what I can do, and then here are all my works. That really goes a big way. And on a personal note, I would say if you haven't gotten to AI yet, definitely do it. It is a massive thing in our industry right now. If you are not using AI whatsoever and not using it smartly, you're going to get left behind. But also use AI as a learning tool to really teach you and use it as a soundboard, because at the end of the day, if Wi-Fi goes down and I ask you this question and you go, ugh, I'm going to be like, you are an idiot. And I'm like, you need to explain to me why you decided to go with this strategy and not this strategy. So don't be codependent on it, but definitely use it to its full ability, because it's going to automate a lot of things. And chat is huge at every agency and every company I've been to. A 10-page proposal can take me 30 minutes now, but I'm still putting in the correct prompts and being smart about it. So definitely get into it.
Look into the things that a lot of people don't do. Everyone does social media. Everyone does all of those paid ads and things like that. But I came into my interview for this one, I was talking about how I created a integrated chat automation into a website. And they were like, what? So look into those niche things. They're fun. A lot of those come with free trials, and if you just launch a $10 domain, put a website together, you can just do free trials on these things, integrate, mess around, but do all those weird things that mess around with a bunch of different email campaigns and have fun, because those are things people don't have. For me, events, I'd say the conference. I went 4 years. I went for 4 years, every year. And I was literally telling Locke how I was 17 when I joined AMA. And it was such a small group that raised a crap ton of money, okay? And they had a fully funded seat available, but no one else could go because, like I said, they were like that was us right here. Okay. And they were like, it was my first meeting. They were like, hey, you want to go fully funded to NOLA? Because we have this paid spot. And I was like, I don't even know you people. And it was, but I went, and I God, it was the most amazing experience. And then I went every year after that for a good reason, I loved it. I connected with people in a way I didn't. I think you guys fly now.
Yeah, we're encouraging drivers this year actually fly. $15. extra for funding if you drive and all of your gas money reimbursed.
Yeah, no, let me tell you, we didn't have this thing called flying until 2020 was my last year we flew. But before that, we met at this parking lot at 12 in the morning. We drove through the night and then we stayed awake the whole next day. Until like, I don't even know. But it was just like, it's a bonding experience. You're in a, first of all, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like the car over the flight, okay? So I will say, maybe that promotes what you're saying, because you're never like, that is the best way to get to know people is being in a car with them for hours and just jamming out to music. It was unbelievably fun. We had a blast and a half at NOLA. Other events, Scramble. If you can plan a scramble, you can plan a lot. If you know how, because Scramble doesn't just teach you event planning, it teaches you communication, it teaches you, you make a lot of mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes in Scramble, but you know what you do after making mistakes? You learn from them. So definitely think you should definitely all take part in that. I think those are my two big ones.
Okay, we're going to open it up to general questions. We have, let's say, 12-ish minutes. And then I don't know if you guys are going to be here for a little bit after. But sometimes.
I can chill with you guys.
Okay.
Sure.
I'll also be
Bottle.
available outside after our meeting, but we have until 6 and then we've got to vacate. But please ask any and all questions.
Come at me.
So a lot of us in here are seniors, which is us. And I feel like while I'm doing that, job titles can be confusing. Like for entry level, like there's coordinators, there's assistants, there's associates. Can you give examples of like either what we should be looking for or entry level roles you guys have held?
Okay, so here's what I wish somebody told me. Like ignore half of that description. Like get a gist of it, get a feel for what it's saying you do, and just go for that. Because if it says entry level or associate, or if it tells just apply. Like don't let it get to your head, don't overthink it. Apply. Because at the end of the day, most of the people I hire, I don't even hire because they fit every single criteria on my list. I hire because they've shown the capacity and the capability of being able to learn and eventually do everything on my list. I'm not hiring based off you hit every check mark. If you got two people and one person shows that they will take initiative, they will take charge, they will do what they need to, and you have the other person and they have every single box checked, I'm going with this person because so don't overthink it. I overthought it. I was like, but I don't have the certificate. Apply. And I always say, even if it's not exactly the position you're looking for, also, you can get experience from that interview regardless, right? You learn how to handle interviews a lot better if they do choose you, even if you don't get the final job.
Your question is like when you're applying, did you focus on the job titles? Is that what you're asking? I just want to make sure I just want to clarify this.
I guess more of like there's so many different titles for marketing on like the back end, not like the search or whatever, like the actual position. But like when you're looking for jobs to apply to, like what kind of titles?
Yeah, I would say don't worry about the titles too much, right? Look at if you can actually do the job and you fully understand it. Because like when you go to interview, like that's really what I'm going to ask you about, right? When I was interviewing candidates, like to build my team around, I was just like, well, one, having a great resume doesn't hurt, like for sure. Like I have definitely disqualified some resumes just because I just didn't like the way it looked.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I saw a 3-page resume, I'm like,
Gone.
that is just not happening. Plus, there's like programs now that we have plugged in that like there's certain criteria that we put in, and if you make it pass, that it's automatically going to exclude some of your resumes. I hate to tell you the truth, but that is. But once you get into that seat, again, if you feel like you can do the job and you feel comfortable about it, I say apply for it. It doesn't matter the title. I went straight for a manager role because like when I did my internship at the agency, a manager role came up and I was like, I can do this work. Like I saw the description. I was like, I'm gonna go for it. So I interviewed for it. I probably had the least experience, but during this interview time, I did everything that it was required. So I interviewed for it and I got it. And I knew what I was talking about. So yeah.
Can generally do a concept of the job. You don't have to hit the 10 years of work experience that it might ask, but if you feel confident, then go for it.
So, thank you for the talk. I'll be working with social impact this semester. So I wanted to ask Sonia specifically, do you have any recommendations when you're reaching out to like people that don't really know your cause? They're not invested in it. How do you make them not make them invested, but how do you get them engaged and excited
In
about
what I do.
Yeah.
You have to understand, I think the thing that, in social impact or in volunteerism or nonprofit world is we all want to have we want to be like, oh, everyone cares about the hungry children but that the reality is half the companies donate because we're a tax write-off, right? Like that's just, there's gotta be some kind of realisticness, but there are still those people that exist that have the care or the heart or the want. And so it's understanding each person's motive. I will look in, sometimes if it's like politicians, I work with some politicians and I have to understand that some politicians will only want to support education in the terms that it's beneficial to the economy, right? Like I'm able to quite literally statistically prove how investing into early education impacts the economy in 10 to 15 years. So, but if I was to go up to, I recently had some high school kids volunteer, I wouldn't go up to them and be like, did you know that when you invest into early education? But I would rather, talk to them about the opportunities for leadership or the opportunities for growth or how it looks on their resume versus if I was approaching an partner agency and trying to get them to be fully trained on how to help clients apply. I would talk to them about what programs that I have that would benefit them and lessen their workload. So it's really understanding, the motive behind each person and organization and what they could benefit from, you being involved with your organization.
Thank you.
So specifically looking back at like when you guys were in college, I know like AMA gives you a lot of skills that you carried on to your jobs, but specifically your education, like the thing that you paid like $40,000 for, however much it is, what would you say is carried over the most to the job that you're doing now?
Here you go. I would say the tactile skills. That let's be frank, okay? I'm gonna be fully honest. I will say it was a lot of the work. You know what really exists in the real world? The guy in the team that does nothing. Okay? That guy still here, by the way. Every job you go to, you're gonna have the guy in the team that does nothing. Still takes all the credit for all the work. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, it's all those things that I think, you have to have experience to gain, from public speaking to presentation skills to working in a team. It's those things that I think I've truly gained from, working with, if you work with a client or, a customer, client, whatever, working with somebody else, if you're working with a business, those things obviously are great. But I will say most of my experience came from this organization.
So your question is saying, what experience from USF got brought over to my career?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
I would say like I do pretty good under pressure. Like, when you're submitting like an assignment like at 11:59, yeah, that's a real thing. So when you go into like your career, you're always gonna have someone press you, whether it's your boss, your team, or a client that's gonna be like, I need this today by end of day. And you're just like, okay, I'm gonna have to try to work through all this. and try to figure out like how to manage. I think prioritizing is huge. I would say that, you know what? From USF, I learned how to prioritize certain things because like on the job, you're gonna have like everyone come at you and tell you like, I need this, I need this. And you're gonna have to like, you're not gonna make everyone happy, but you're gonna realize like, what's the most important thing that I need to do that needs to be submitted and prioritize that. So I would say from USF, that was something that like, it's like a soft skill that I brought over. Everything else I learned on the job. Like a lot of it I learned on the job.
Putting out fires under pressure.
Yeah.
The-
Doing your work and being like critical thinking is like huge, especially when you're strategizing a campaign or a marketing or clients looking at you like you're the expert and you have to be able to speak to what you're trying to preach. So I would say like, yeah, it's like again, prioritizing is like, hey, yeah, you have like 50,000. Okay, well, here's what we can do the next 3 to 6 months. And I think here's your biggest need. We're going to prioritize this first. So yeah, I would say that's what I brought over.
You guys.
Okay, I'm gonna do 2 more questions. The first 2 hands I saw were you and you, and then you guys can ask outside.
So you kind of talked a little bit about like strategically using AI. We had a really cool AI speaker last semester and he talked about prompts. What are your favorite prompts to use to maximize AI?
Man, I use like between that and grammar, I use it to like catch errors. Like for me, like if I'm writing an email, for me, I'm always worried about tonality, how I'm trying to sound like to the client, because especially when you're writing so many, you don't ever want to say something. You never want to pigeonhole yourself into saying like, I will get this done. Clients like, can I have this done? You want to keep it very vague. So I would like use prompts to be like, I want to tell them I'm not going to do this today, but I would do this tomorrow. So I have like a whole list of AI prompts that like I just copy and paste over. And after you get into the flow, you realize which ones work for you. It's gonna be different for every job. But for me, like when I do Excels, like I do a lot of data and I have to like break everything down and I have to look at the analytics, like why things make sense. Chat is so great. I have certain prompts that I just plug in. I'm like, look at this campaign. I need you to break it down from a 30, 60 to 90 day and give me highlights. And then from there, critical thinking skills, I'm like, okay, I think this and this makes sense. So then that's how I use it to like help kind of like move my workflow along. So yeah.
Tonality is a big one. There are different individuals in your organization or in your company that you're gonna have to use different tones with. Some people it's more stern. Some people, if you dare even use an ounce of stern, they start to cry. So, I definitely go make this more friendly, but bring clarity. I love that you're able to tailor your AI to your company brand, voice, and messaging. I use it a lot when sending emails to partners or agencies, but a lot around clarity for sure and tonality.
You know what's a good thing too for me and my client? I've recently started creating some chat box or some chats where like for this client, I like wrote it in a way where they have to think like the client and I plug in all this information, all the data I have on them. So then when I'm thinking about doing this campaign, how would you respond to it? It would be like, I would really like it, but I don't like this one part. I think that's really huge. I would say you could probably start even doing that with your classes right now, like try to build a chat box for each one of your classes, plug in all the work you've ever done. And that way it can kind of teach you some of the materials and like help automate a lot of things. I think that's something pretty useful that at least in my agency, every account manager has a book of business and each book of business has a chat associated with just them.
Yeah, so like during the position, you guys talk a lot about communication. So I would ask, I want to develop communication too. So what experience do you guys seek out at AMA to develop that skill?
Communication skills.
Yes.
Generally, if you are in any committee, leading a committee, leading anything, you have to have communication skills. That is here, that is in team projects, that is in the real world. And the best way to gain communication skills is to understand where you failed. There are so many times where somebody said, I wish you told me that, or, I think you should have made sure that was mentioned. And understanding how do you consistently improve yourself through your mistakes. But taking leadership roles is your best way to gaining, communication skills, I think.
Yeah, I would say so too. Like, I think naturally just joining, like being part of the club, you're gonna make friends, you're gonna talk to them, but then like really joining the committees was probably like was gonna push you in that position where you have to kind of communicate and talk. Like that's the whole reason I wanted to do like VP of communication when I first joined AMA because like I have to like report to somebody and talk to and like run like kind of like manage some people, so it kind of forces you to kind of find a way to better communicate because everyone's so different. I would say join a committee. Like it's pretty simple. Like it's not anything crazy. Like there's gonna be a level of responsibility that's gonna be put on you, and depending on how you respond to it, that's gonna probably translate well to when you graduate and get into work.
Thank you.
We could have to leave this room now so that other clubs can use it. But
Next week,
So much about you.
if you're volunteering for Scramble, you need to be here next week. We're gonna go over all the information you need for Scramble. You need to be here. It's mandatory.